Welcome back. The relationship between Israel and Iran has been a rollercoaster ride, marked by dramatic shifts over the past several decades. Today, as tensions escalate and the shadow of imminent conflict looms ever larger, it is crucial to understand the intricate web of historical events and evolving dynamics that have brought us to this pivotal moment. This podcast will delve into the rich and complex history between these two nations, tracing their journey from an era of strategic alliance and mutual benefit to the stark and hostile rivalry that defines their interactions today. We'll explore the pre-revolution era from 1948 to 1979, when Iran was one of the first Muslim-majority countries to recognize the newly formed State of Israel. During these years, strong economic ties and military cooperation were hallmarks of their relationship. Next, we'll dissect the transformative shift brought about by the Iranian Revolution in 1979, where the overthrow of the Shah and the rise of Ayatollah Khomeini dramatically reversed Iran's foreign policy, with anti-Israel rhetoric becoming a cornerstone of the new regime. We'll then move through the post-revolution era, highlighting increasing hostilities in the 1980s, escalations through the 1990s and 2000s driven by nuclear ambitions and proxy conflicts, and the overt hostility of recent years characterized by regional influence, cyber warfare, and targeted assassinations. In the early years following the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, a surprising alliance blossomed in the Middle East. Iran, a predominantly Muslim nation, became one of the first countries in the region to officially recognize the State of Israel. This recognition marked the beginning of a unique and strategic partnership between the two nations, whose rapport was largely driven by mutual interests and shared geopolitical goals. Economically, the bond between Israel and Iran was particularly strong. Trade between the two countries flourished, with oil being a significant aspect of their economic cooperation. Israel, which had limited natural resources of its own, relied heavily on Iranian oil to fuel its burgeoning economy. Conversely, Iran saw Israel as an important market for its oil exports, benefiting financially from this trade partnership. Beyond economic cooperation, military collaboration played a crucial role in cementing the Israel-Iran alliance. The two countries engaged in extensive military cooperation, focusing on intelligence sharing and mutual security interests. During the Cold War, both nations perceived a common threat in the form of Soviet expansionism and Arab nationalism, thereby finding common cause in bolstering each other's defense capabilities. Intelligence collaborations were particularly notable, as Israel and Iran exchanged vital information that enhanced their respective security and strategic positions in the region. This military alliance extended to training and technical support, with Israel providing Iran with expertise and resources to modernize its armed forces. Throughout the pre-revolution era, this partnership not only benefited both nations economically and militarily, but also positioned them as influential players in the Middle Eastern geopolitical landscape. It was an unlikely alliance, yet one that thrived on pragmatic mutual interests, setting the stage for a dramatic shift that would unfold with the Iranian Revolution in 1979. The year 1979 marked a monumental shift in the Middle East, especially in the relationship between Iran and Israel. Prior to this, the two nations enjoyed a mutually beneficial alliance. However, the Islamic Revolution fundamentally altered this dynamic. In January of 1979, widespread discontent with the Shah's regime culminated in his overthrow. The Shah, who was seen as a Western ally, had maintained a positive relationship with Israel. His regime's fall made way for the rise of Ayatollah Khomeini, who would head the new Islamic Republic. Ayatollah Khomeini's ascent to power represented more than just a change in leadership. It signaled a profound ideological shift. Khomeini's vision for Iran included a staunchly anti-Western and, by extension, anti-Israel stance. He viewed Israel as a puppet of Western imperialism, an entity whose existence was incompatible with Islamic values and the aspirations of Muslims worldwide. As a result, anti-Israel rhetoric became a cornerstone of the new regime's foreign policy. Diplomatic ties were severed, and Iran's support for Palestinian liberation movements began to grow. The newly established Islamic Republic went so far as to formalize its opposition by renaming the former Israeli embassy in Tehran to the Embassy of Palestine, a potent symbolic gesture. This ideological shift was not just theoretical, but actively translated into policy decisions. Iran's resources began to flow to groups that opposed Israel, marking the start of Iran's long-term strategic support for organizations like Hezbollah in Lebanon. This support extended to both financial aid and military training, further embedding anti-Israel sentiment into Iran's foreign policy fabric. In summary, the events of 1979 redefined Iran's stance toward Israel from one of cooperation to one of open hostility, driven by a new regime that saw Israel not just as a political adversary, but as an ideological enemy. This pivotal year laid the groundwork for the enduring and often violent rivalry that persists to this day. The 1980s marked a dramatic shift in Israel-Iran relations, transitioning from former allies to clear adversaries. During the Iran-Iraq War, a complex paradox ensued. Publicly, Iran denounced Israel vehemently, but beneath the surface, they engaged in some levels of cooperation. An illustrative event of this period is the Iran-Contra affair, where Israel facilitated covert arms sales to Iran, with proceeds funding the Contra rebels in Nicaragua. This clandestine collaboration was rooted in shared strategic interest against a common Arab adversary, Iraq, challenging the newly hostile rhetoric emanating from Tehran. Moving into the 1990s and early 2000s, the antagonism escalated significantly. Central to the conflict was Iran's nuclear program, which Israel perceived as an existential threat. Throughout this period, Iran began ramping up its enrichment activities, triggering alarm bells in Tel Aviv and across the international community. Israel's reaction included a mix of diplomatic maneuvers and preemptive threats of military action to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear capabilities. During this time, the proxy conflicts became more pronounced. Iran's support for anti-Israel groups like Hezbollah and Hamas intensified, with money, arms, and training provided to foster insurgencies against Israeli targets. Episodes such as the 2006 Lebanon War epitomized this proxy warfare, with Hezbollah launching thousands of rockets into Israel, reflecting Iran's indirect strategies to undermine Israeli security. The 2010s onwards have been typified by overt hostility and regional maneuvers. Iran's influence grew across the Middle East, notably through its involvement in the Syrian civil war, providing vital support to the Assad regime alongside Hezbollah fighters. The Iranian presence in Syria brought Israeli airstrikes targeting supply routes and facilities used by Iranian forces and their allies, signaling Israel's determination to curb Iranian entrenchment near its borders. Moreover, this period saw the emergence of cyber warfare between the two nations. The Stuxnet virus, suspected to be a joint US-Israel effort, targeted Iranian nuclear facilities, drastically impacting their centrifuge operations. Iran retaliated with cyber attacks on Israeli infrastructure, marking a new battlefield in their enduring conflict. Without ignoring the cloak and dagger elements, targeted assassinations and acts of sabotage have punctuated this era. Prominent Iranian scientists like Mohsen Fakhrizadeh have been assassinated in operations widely attributed to Israeli intelligence, aiming to disrupt Iran's nuclear advancements. In summary, the post-revolution era from the 1980s to the present has been a tale of escalating enmity marked by proxy battles, nuclear tensions, cyber confrontations, and lethal covert operations. This deeper adversarial relationship shapes the current regional and international geopolitics, setting a stark contrast to their former alliance. Israel has been actively engaging in diplomatic efforts to form new alliances within the region, most notably through the Abraham Accords. These agreements, formalized in recent years, have established diplomatic relations between Israel and several Gulf states, including the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. This shift has helped create a counterbalance to Iranian influence in the Middle East and signifies a realignment of regional allegiances, driven by a mutual concern over Iran's actions and aspirations. Iran, on its part, has entrenched itself with a network of alliances and support for non-state actors and regional governments that share its adversarial stance towards Israel. This includes backing groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and various militia forces in Iraq and Syria. Iran's strategic partnerships extend beyond the Middle East, reaching into global spheres with support from countries like Russia and China, which see value in countering Western influence in the region. Israel claimed a lethal attack on Hezbollah's second-in-command, Fuad Shukr, near Beirut last Tuesday. It has not commented on its apparent role in the targeted execution of Hamas political commander Ismail Haniyeh hours later in Tehran, an embarrassment the Islamic Republic has sworn to avenge. President Joe Biden will meet with Jordan's King Abdullah II and the National Security Council today to discuss regional developments. As a final resort, the monarch sent his foreign minister Ayman Safadi to Iran on Sunday to calm Iran's wrath. Safadi was the first high-ranking Jordanian official to visit Iran in 20 years. Tensions between Amman and Tehran have risen since April, when Jordan joined the US-led coalition that intercepted hundreds of Iranian projectiles fired at Israel. Israel claimed a lethal attack on Hezbollah's second-in-command, Fuad Shukr, near Beirut last Tuesday. It has not commented on its apparent role in the targeted execution of Hamas political commander Ismail Haniyeh hours later in Tehran, an embarrassment the Islamic Republic has sworn to avenge. Today, President Joe Biden will meet with Jordan's King Abdullah II and the National Security Council to discuss regional events. As a final resort, the monarch sent his foreign minister Ayman Safadi to Iran on Sunday to calm Iran's wrath. Safadi was the first high-ranking Jordanian official to visit Iran in 20 years. Tensions between Amman and Tehran have risen since April, when Jordan joined the US-led coalition that intercepted hundreds of Iranian projectiles fired at Israel. The region stands on the brink of a regional war. Let us see what happens next.